Good morning, everyone. So, just you check all of you the last day class. I think you revised. So, any issue, any problems you are getting clear. So, last class I was discussing with you that is how to measure the national income. So, I've discussed with you that there are three measurements or three types of measurement we can say, or three ways we can measure the national income or domestic income. One is the production method, other is the income method, and third one is known as the expenditure method. So, when you are talking about the production method, so production method having two sub methods. Production method having two sub methods. One is final output approach, and second one is known as value added approach or value added method. So, in the last class we have discussed with you why not we are using the final output method. So, one things we got ideas from just a normal example, a simple example. If we follow the final output approach, then for each and every producing unit, if you just consider, so their output is the final output for that particular firm. Are you getting my point? If you consider any producing unit, then output produced by that particular producing unit is the final output for that particular producing unit. But output produced by that particular firm may act or may be the input of other firms. Clear? So, if we start taking the final output for each and every firm, then we are going to get the double counting issue. Same input, same output is considered twice. One place it is in the form of final output, and same output is considered as the input for other firm. So, to avoid it, we are not using final output method, but we are using the value added method. Clear? Now, so production method means value added method. Clear? So, now we are talking about if we are following production method, it simply means we are using the value added method. So, what exactly we are doing under value added method? The whole economy means from production point of view. See, one thing be clear, if you take the economy, so you are taking the economy. So, when you want to estimate or calculate GDP through the production side, then you have to take the production point only. When you are going to analyze from income side, just you think who are the persons, who are the economic agents, they are earning in the economy. And when you are going to discuss expenditure method, that time you think about who are spending in the economy. So, different methods, your approach should be different. But one thing is common, you use any of these three methods or approach, you are landing up at the same concept, that is same point. You can calculate domestic income, you can calculate the national income. Clear? But definitely stages may be different, but you can reach, no issue. So, in production method, we are trying to know, or we are trying to divide it, or we already divided all producing unit in three category, all producing units in three category. One, we say it is the primary sector, second we can say it is the secondary sector, and third one it is known as tertiary sectors or services sector. And as this study I discussed, all producing units, if any of these all you take, that producing unit, either it will be the part of primary sector, or it will be part of secondary sector, or it will be part of tertiary sectors. Clear? It is very common one. You can choose it, you can take any production unit, you will get either it is a part of primary or secondary or tertiary one. Clear? So, what is my next step? So, my next step is to calculate the value added by each and every sector. I mean all the three sectors. The moment you are getting the value added by all three sectors and you sum up, then directly you are getting the monetary value of the final goods and services. Why final goods and services? Because intermediates inputs you are basically excluding in each and every sectors. You are excluding. So what is the first step? So in primary sector, what you are doing, we are going to do that. So primary sector, we will calculate first GVA. We can calculate first GVA. GVA means gross value added at market price. So we are going to calculate GVA, gross value added, by primary. I am writing here primary sector. Why primary sector? Because three sectors we divided. But when you say GVA, so we are assuming it's a gross value added. Okay. So we are calculating gross value added by primary sector. How much primary sector added, okay, in the economy. So how can you calculate? So earlier you remember we have discussed with you that we are calculating value added by first calculating the value of output produced, and then we are subtracting inputs used by the that particular sector. Okay. So if you subtract it, you are getting the value additions or added by that particular sector. So same concept we are following it. So first we have to calculate the value of output produced by PS. PS stands for primary sector. So value of output produced by primary sector means total output. Total, you can just say it's a total gross value of output produced by primary sector. Then you have to subtract intermediate inputs, used by primary sector. So you subtract intermediates inputs used by primary sector, means how much inputs used by the primary sector. See, before this, in a very simple example, when we have taken 600, 800, 1000, that time we considered, let us consider the primary farmer, that is a part of the primary sector, is not using any inputs. You remember yesterday class? So that was the very at the micro level example. But if you take overall economy, really we can say that primary sector is not using the output produced by secondary sector or tertiary sector. So simply we can say no. Because if you take the primary sector, then definitely primary sectors is using the output produced by secondary sector or output produced by tertiary sector. They are using the inputs. Like take the example of farmers using the chemical fertilizers, pesticides. These are produced in secondary sector. Farmers using the banking services, farmers using the insurance services, farmers using the machineries. So banking services, insurance services, transportation, these are the services, means these are the part of tertiary sector, produced by the tertiary sector, that is using as input. So overall if you take, so primary sector really using the output produced by secondary sector and also produced by tertiary sector or services sector. So we have to subtract, that is the reason we subtracted intermediate inputs used by primary sector, we subtracted, fine. So what we are getting, GVA gross value added by primary sector. Similarly, you can calculate GVA gross value added by SS. SS means secondary sector. Gross value added by secondary sector, which is equal to, same way you can write, value of output produced by secondary sector minus intermediate inputs used by primary sector. Clear? In same logic, we can also calculate GVA, gross value added by tertiary sector, TS, which is equal to again value of output produced by tertiary sector minus intermediate inputs used by, sorry, here you have to change this, intermediate inputs used by secondary sector, and it should be your by tertiary sector, TS. Clear? So you calculated the GVA, gross value added by tertiary sector. Fine here? So in this way we have to calculate. You noted already? So all the three sectors, primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary sector, we calculated the GVA of primary sector, GVA of secondary sector and GVA of tertiary sector. After this calculations, so what exactly we have done it, we have taken the whole economy and we divided the whole economy in three sectors. PS means primary sector, SS means secondary sector and TS means tertiary sectors. Clear? And you calculated the value added by all the three sectors. So once you add GVA by primary sector plus GVA by secondary sector plus GVA of tertiary sector, then finally you are getting GDP at MP. Finally you are getting GDP at MP. That is a production method you can get. Why you are getting GDP at MP? Because always remember, price is always determined for any product in the market. And in the market price, even your depreciation cost is already included, NIT is already included, everything is included. And when you estimate or calculate the value of output at market price, it means it will be at gross and at market price. Clear? Since all producing units, they are buying inputs at market price in the market. So inputs purchase is also at market price, and value of output you calculated, it is also at market price. So the whole things is coming at the gross and market price. So gross value added, it will be always give you the gross value added at market price. So all the three sectors are there, no other producing units left if you consider three sectors. So it is nothing but it is going to give you the total monetary value, gross monetary value of all final goods and services produced within your country in a given time period, and it is nothing but it's a GDP at MP. So this way you are getting GDP at MP, and once you are getting GDP at MP, now you are knowing better. Yesterday we had discussed, if you want to go from gross to net, subtract depreciations. If you want to go market price to NIT, you subtract NIT. And if you add net factors income from abroad, NFIA, then this domestic is going to convert into national. So you can reach it at any destinations. What you want, you can reach it. Yeah, steps finally initially you landed to the GDP at MP, but now you are knowing the system what we have developed with you. Just using that step by step, you can come to the national income also, you can come to the net also, you can come to the factor cost also. What do you want, you can calculate. Fine here? So this is your production method, and within production method it is your basically your value added method. Fine? Clear? Okay. Now next we are going for income method. Income method. Clear? So income method already I discussed with you dear. In economy, if you want to earn, then you can only earn being one of the four factors. Like I discussed the four factors in the country. One is your land, second is your labor, not second and first, you can write in any chronicle order, land, labor, capital and entrepreneurs or producer, you can say producer. So either you can earn in the economy being the landowner, you can earn in the economy being the capitalist, you can earn in the economy being the labor, or you can earn being the economy by businessman, being the businessman or entrepreneurs or producers. You can earn. So if you think in any country where you want to earn, there is only 4 options you have. You start your business, be entrepreneur, earn profit. You invest somewhere if you have the money, then it's known as being the capitalist, you can earn, that is the interest rate. If you have the entrepreneurial skill, you are knowing how to organize all the factors, you can start, that is the entrepreneurs of profits, like land. If your land area, give it on the lease basis and rent basis, you can earn the interest, rent, and nothing it is this are, if you are then rendered your services, being any professionals, that is you are talking about the human skill. So you rendered your services. So being labor, you can earn. So if you take the total laborers of the whole economy, they earn. Total laborers on the whole economy, they earn. So you can take CE, compensation of employees. Yesterday we discussed, okay, the income of the labor is known as compensation of employees. Why it is a compensation of employees? Because here it includes all the wage income, other things like the HRA, TA, all allowances. If you just include everything in the salary or wage income, so it is going to give you the compensation of employees. So wage and salary is the part of CE, not whole the CE. That things you have to remember. Clear? So C, you can calculate all the laborers income, C, compensation of employees, plus all land owners income. Anyone who is the land owner, who are holding the land, they are using, given on the lease basis or rent basis, they are earning the rent. So you take all land owners of your country, so their income is known as rent. So you take all the rent. You take capitalist, the capitalist earn income, their income is known as interest rate. So total all capitalist income you can consider, that to their income is known as a I stand for interest, I stands for interest, clear. So total interest you can take, plus that all businessmen, all entrepreneurs, all producers income you can add on. So total amount of profit earned in the economy you can calculate. So just write P, P stands for profit, clear. So the moment you are adding all 4, so you are getting the total income generated in the country, total income generated in the country. Find here, just you add one more thing here. If you take the economy, there is a possibility that someone is producing in the economy. Suppose I am started a business, I am knowing, suppose how much amount I am paying to laborers as a CE. I am knowing how much interest I am paying to the capitalist from there where I borrowed it. I borrowed my money for my business, so I can calculate interest. I can calculate the suppose I took the land on the lease basis, the rent basis, so I am paying rent, so I can calculate what is my rent going on, what is interest I am paying to banks. Suppose laborers are working, so I am paying all the things to the laborers, so I am knowing what is the compensation of employees, and what is left is my profit. So I am able to differentiate, okay, it is my profit, it is my rent, it is my interest, it is my compensation of employees. But just you assume at the village level, at the very small interior part or peripheral of the economy, one is known as the central of the economy and one is known as the peripheral of the economy. If you take that part, even in the urban areas, you can also see that one family, they are doing some business, they are earning it, but very small level. So how they are earning? So they started a small business, that is a village industry, you can say cottage industry, you can say, or very small house based, family based business they are doing this, where the land used, these land are their own, the money they put in this business, these money are their own, okay. They are the entrepreneurs or businessmen, themselves are the businessmen, and they are also working as a laborer in that that business. So same laborers are themselves, I mean, they are the owner, they are the capitalist, they are the landowner. All factors are their own factors, and then they are earning. So for them, it is really very difficult to differentiate how much out of this is my compensation of employees, how much out of this is my interest, how much is this my profit and rent. So if this type of income, and this type of income definitely you are going to get it in the economy, because if we are economy means all part of the economy, everything we are taking. So some part of income you can get like this. So what we are doing that, for this we are putting another entry which is known as MI. So MI means mixed income. MI means mixed income of self-employed. Why? Because this type of public, this type of persons, they are not working under someone. It is their own business. So they are the self-employed. So we can write MI means mixed income of self-employed. It means mixed income of self-employed. Clear? If you add all these things, C plus R plus I plus P plus MI, so directly you are going to get NDP at FC. Net domestic product at factor cost. Directly you are getting. Just check, all of you. Okay. Check, all of you. We are getting directly we are getting NDP at FC, not GDP. That is the reason I just I discussed with you. Using different methodology, yes, using different methodology, you can go to the same destinations, but routes will be something different. Like suppose you are going somewhere, take the example of Kolkata you are going. So if you are going by flight, you are landing to the airport, then you can reach your home. You are going by car, also train you can take. So you have to going first Sialda or Howrah, then you are going to your home. So if routes are different, so maybe the first destination may differ, but finally you can reach your destinations. The same ways here. So if you follow the income method, so directly you are getting the NDP at FC, no depreciations, no NIT, and since you is calculating within the country income generated, it must be only domestic. So directly you are getting NDP at FC, net domestic product at factor cost. That is the domestic income. Clear? Why you are getting at factor cost? Just think, I am giving you one simple example. Suppose your person, it is the market, it is your market, and in this market you sold something, say at market price. Suppose you produce some goods and you sold that goods at market price. MP stands for market price, say at rupees 220, at 220, fine. You sold in the market, but since in this market NIT is there, we have already discussed with you. So when you are coming back with this money, one agent, I mean the one economic entity, say it is the government, here they are standing, and government already imposed NIT of 10 rupee. So the moment you are coming back and crossing this boundary, so once you cross, so basically you have 220 here. Once you cross this border, means if you are paying this amount, NIT at 10 rupees, then left amount is your 210. So after selling your product at 220 in the market, you are coming back. So since in this 220 NIT is included, and say NIT is 10 rupee. So once you are crossing or you are just passing this barrier, so government's taken 10 rupees their NIT. So amount left with you is just 210 rupee. Clear? So you are knowing that out of this 220, I incurred some depreciation. There is a depreciation cost that I discussed here in previous classes. There is a depreciation. Suppose depreciation amount is again 10 rupee. So depreciations you have to maintain from the first day of the productions. Okay, when you started getting the money, you have to maintain. Why? Because you are knowing, dear, suppose your machine life is 10 years. So after 10 years, this machine is going to be out of order. So you need a new machine that time, okay, to replace the old one with the new one. So you have to keep acquiring the money, or say putting the money, keeping the money to buy after 10 years new machine, and you can continue the productions. So depreciation amount you already lost while your production. So that much you must deduct it. So once you're crossing these barriers, so left amount is what? 200 with you. And now these 200 you are going to distribute among 4 factors. So this 200 out of one part is going to the laborers, or say landowner, one part you are paying to the labor, which is your CE, one part you are paying as a capitalist as interest, and one part is the profit you are paying. Clear? So what you are getting, if you are standing here, basically you are standing at this point, and you added at this point only. In income method, you are taking income of the all 4 factors. So since you are adding at this point, so at this point it is only including 200, and this 200 only distributed among 4 factors. So it means if you add landowner's income, laborer's income, capitalist income, post profit, that is the entrepreneur's income, it must be sum of all these 4 must be equal to 200. But this 200, no depreciations, so value must be in the net form. In this 200, no NIT, so value must be at factor cost, because I discussed market price and factor cost difference is NIT, so you removed it. So that's the reason if you added all 4 factors income, then directly you are getting NDP at FC, net domestic product at factor cost. Clear to all? See, MI is also 4 factors income, but it is in the mixed form. That we cannot differentiate among the 4 factors. So we put it in the combined form, that is a MI. Clear here? Just you check check here till now. Clear is clear to all? Because in production method, you estimated the value of output at market price, because at production point you measure. So when you are at production point, you are measuring value of output, so definitely it will be at market price, and depreciation must be included, so it is in gross form. But you are measuring at factors income point, so definitely it's excluding your depreciation and excluding your NIT. Fine, dear? So already you noted, dear? Keeps writing, it will help you. Clear? Fine. So finally what we can say, directly you are getting NDP at FC, which is equal to CE plus R plus I plus P plus MI. C plus rent plus I plus P plus MI. Fine. Now just check here. R plus I plus P. These three known as OS. OS stand for operating surplus. Operating surplus means OS, and OS is equal to R plus I plus P. R plus I plus P. OS, operating surplus, which is equal to rent plus interest plus profit. Now question is that why rent plus interest plus profit is known as operating surplus? That we have to understand. Let us consider, I am considering this here the whole, suppose I completed my factory. I completed my factory. All construction work, machineries, everything's it's equipped. So once I completed my factory, it means I used land area, I used capital, and I also used myself, means entrepreneurs or producers, I am there. So three factors already used till your completion of your factory or your plant. Now next step, you are going to operate. The moment you are going to operate this plant, then only you are going to hire labor, or you are only going to use the fourth factor, which is your labor. So labor is going to operate your plant. So what is the share of labor in total income? That is known as operating cost. Why? Because when you want to operate, then only you need labor requirement, there is a requirement of labor, and if that labor, if you are not paying, suppose you are not paying to laborers, they will stop production, and once you stop production means your output will be zero. So general and normal convention is that, if first you are paying to the labor, at least productive activities keeps continuing. Okay, so how much you paid to the laborers as a CE, compensation of employees, that amount is known as the operating cost. And after payment of labor, that is operating cost, what is left is known as operating surplus. After payment of labor, what is left is known as operating surplus. And what is the amount of operating surplus? Out of this amount, you are paying rent, you are paying interest, and you are paying profit. Clear? So definitely if you add R plus I plus P, this must be equal to OS, which is your operating surplus. That's the reason we are saying operating surplus is equal to R plus I plus P. So the same equations you can also write in this format. NDP at FC is equal to CE, C is the labor share, plus OS. Directly you can write OS. So in place of R plus I plus P, you directly write the OS, plus you write the mixed income. You cannot use the OS because you can't differentiate the level of income. Clear? Clear, dear? So this way we can write, and once you are knowing the NDP at FC, you reached here. So just you add net factors income from abroad. So if you are adding the net factors income from abroad, so this domestic income turned into national income. If you are adding the depreciation, it is going to turn into the gross. If you are adding NIT, it is going to, FC is going to be at MP, market price. This way it works, and you can just, if you are knowing, you can easily handle this. Clear to all? Fine. Now next one is known as expenditure method. So you have seen in these two methods, either you can go from production method or income method, you can just reach at the same destinations. You can calculate the value of output, and how much value of output, exactly your net value you are producing, that is going to be the income of the economy. That is going to be the income of the economy. Fine. Next one is your expenditure method. Now same thing, now we are trying to see from the expenditure side. Okay, so production side you have seen, income side you have seen, this we have discussed in the class. Now expenditure side we want to see how we can estimate or calculate. So from expenditure side we have to divide our economy accordingly. Like production side we have divided in 3 sectors, income side we divided the 4 factors, they are generating income. Okay, so similarly from expenditure side we can divide according to our need. So from expenditure side, if you see, then we can divide our economy in 4 parts. One is known as household, households, other is we can say government, third one you can say investors, and next one you can say external sector. External sector. I think in income method we don't need to dictate you, because already see you are knowing RIP already I discussed with you, just you adding it and you are getting NDPTFC. And what is NDPTFC? Net demand, net domestic product at factor cost. Clear? So here we are dividing all over economy in 4 groups. Why? Because you understand. Take one example. Here our objective is to calculate the total production of our economy, total production in our economy. That is ultimate objective of this method. And now we are trying to calculate estimate from the expenditure side, Suppose I am going in the market. So let us consider I have some money, but I went to the market, but that time I forget to count how much money I have. I left for market and I spent all my money. Then I wanted to let us calculate how much money I had that time before going to the market. Can I calculate? Easily you can calculate. Just you add the total expenditure you made. So add all the expenditure, the total value must be equal to the money you had this time, you had that time. Okay, so that's a very easy way to calculate. So how much you are spending, it must be income of the economy. Sometimes we are getting confused, no, it's not true for me. How much we are earning, only a part I am consuming, but one part I save. I agree with you, dear. But you understand the amount you saved, that amount, it is in the banking system or maybe in the post office, maybe in the other institutions, and these money are used by some other economic agents. Okay, say investors, they are borrowing this money what you saved for investment purpose. The other publics, other consumers, they are borrowing your money to buy their durables, buy their land area, buy their property. So always it has seen ki how much you are generating income, it is going to be consumed. Maybe not you are consuming, but this money is consumed by some other person, demanded by some other person. On that concept we are going through, and expenditure method we are going to explain in that way. Clear? So who are demanding in our economy the total production produced? So one is the households. Households demand goods and services, but household demand always in for the purpose of consumption. We all are the households. So we demand anything for consumption expenditure. So that is written by C. Fine. Just write few lines. Please write few lines. C is consumption, you write, then few lines you write. It is total private final consumption expenditure. It is total private final consumption expenditure. Yeah, it is total private final consumption expenditure. By final, because consumers are demanding only final goods. So it is a total private. You just word the private means we are talking about the household, which is the private entity. Okay, not the government, private. So you write it is a total private final consumption expenditure incurred by households on final goods and services for consumption purpose. Okay, full stop. So what you are getting? C stands for consumption. It is the total private final consumption expenditure incurred by the households on final goods and services. Find here. Similarly, the government also demands goods and services. They are spending on goods and services, which is represented by G. Which is represented by G. G is what? Government expenditure. G normal. You write G is a government expenditure. What do you mean by government expenditure? Let us consider Mahindra is producing car. Say they are producing Scorpio, they are producing Bolero. You have seen in your state that this Mahindra's Scorpio and Bolero also demanded by the households for use, for consumption purpose, their personal use, and these cars are also demanded by the government for maintaining their public, the law and order, or you can say for public administrations, they are demanding it. So, it means economy is producing, but a part of that households demanding, a part of that government demands. Government demands so many things. Okay, for government offices you can see they are demanding stationary things, refrigerator, freeze, everything they are demanding. Okay, office equipments, office materials. Take the example of government hospitals, the government demands medicines, the medical equipments, okay, other things they are demanding. For educational services, they are demanding your infrastructure related to education, they demand. So, overall if you take the economy, so government demand also goods and services, okay, that is represented by G. G, just you write G, total government expenditure, right? It is total it is the expenditure, it is a total expenditure, it is a total expenditure incurred by the government, incurred by the government on goods and services, on goods and services for the following purpose, for the following purpose, for the following purpose. Write one by one. First you write for infrastructure development, already written the following purpose. So, just write the name, what? Infrastructure development, clear? Health services, right? Health services, educational services, development of industries, development of agriculture, yeah, so many things. You can just go to the rural areas, they are buying for the development of agriculture, okay, agriculture sector, development of agriculture sector, and allied activities, okay, for public administrations, next for defense services, yeah, for defense services, so many things demanding, defense equipment demanding, uniforms demanding, food and other non-food items they are demanding, they demands. So, you can write this, okay, etc, then etc, right, means any other thing, say you can mention this. So, what you are getting, government also demand goods and services, okay, in the economy, but that goods and services produced, okay. So, G is there. Investors, you write, investor is the I here there is a difference. In income method, capital I represents interest, but here capital I we are saying it is the gross investment, gross investment. You say capital I is your gross investment, clear? Right, gross investments. So, you see investors also demand goods and services, but why investors are demanding goods and services? So, investors are demanding goods and services basically for investment purpose. So, investors also demand goods and services, but for investment purpose, that is the difference. And persons may be same, suppose I am going in the market to buy for my personal use, so I am as a household I am demanding. But same person if you are going in the market demanding for the business purpose, that time I am considered as the investor. So, I also demand goods and services, but for the investment purpose. So, just write I is the gross investments. I, capital I, is a gross investment. Written this, right. It is the total expenditure. It is a total expenditure incurred by the. It is a total expenditure incurred by the. It is a total expenditure incurred by the investors. By the investors on goods and services. On goods and services. On goods and services for investment purpose. For investment purpose. For investment purpose. Fine. Full stop, right? Gross investment, right? Gross investments. This I am talking about. Gross investments includes. Gross investments includes gross capital formation. Gross fixed capital formation includes gross fixed capital formation. Gross fixed capital formation and change in stocks change in stocks. Okay, gross fixed capital formation and change in stocks. See, you are taking gross investments, fine. Gross investment means gross fixed capital formation plus change in stock. Change in stock. Clear? Change in stock is defined as closing stock minus opening stock. Opening stock. Here, reason is that our objective is to calculate the total value of output produced within our country. This is the ultimate objective. Clear? So, if you see from the expenditure side, so there is a possibility expenditure may incur on output produced in the particular country in the same particular country in the same year, or maybe expenditure incurred on the output produced in the previous year. But remember, output produced in previous year, it is a part of previous year GDP. Output produced within this year, yes, it is a part of current GDP. It is a part of current GDP. So, our objective is to output produced in this year. Clear? Now, let us consider a businessman. A businessman opened a business. Suppose the fiscal year, as I discussed, it is the 1st April. You started your business today. Clear? So, first day you have seen in your stock the 100 units are there. Suppose your stock 100 units are there. You worked for the whole year, 1 year, and on 31st March you have seen your stock is 150 units. 150 units. So, the first day when you take the stock, it is known as the opening stock, and the last day of stock is known as the closing stock. Clear? So, you can see here as when you are trying to calculate change in stock, so closing stock should be 150 and opening stock should be 100. It means plus 40 plus 50. It means 50 units if it is in your stock you added in this particular year. It means you produce this output in this particular year. You produced output in this particular year and this output added in this particular year. So, if you take only gross fixed capital formation, so it is not going to include all the product because some part It is a part of your inventories. It is a part of your inventories, and expenditure is not incurred on this product. So expenditure here will give you underestimated, because it's not demanded in the market, not spent on this amount, this product. So it is not demanded. So it is a part, it's become your stock. Maybe your semi-finished, maybe your finished goods is part of your stock, but that is produced. So for expenditure method, when you are going, then we have to include the change in stock. So when you take the, you will come 50 units, that is 50 units you produce in this year, and it's added in your stock, I mean it is a part of inventories. So automatically plus 50 will come here, Take another case, on the first day it was 100, but on the last day now it's become the 50, it's become the 50 units on 31st March. It means the stock has declined, but this 100 units output is the output of the previous year, not on this day. This year started from the 1st of April, but it is the output of the previous year. But you have seen during this period, now your stock is declined to 50 units. It means the 50 units you sold in this year, but this was the output of previous year. So if you take here, then closing stock is 50 and opening stock is 100. So it's automatically going to be the minus. So here it will be the minus, means that much amount is going to be subtracted. That is the reason here. So basic difference you understand, when you are writing say gross investment here, when you are going to measure, so you are taking the gross fixed capital formations, you are taking this gross fixed capital formations, plus also you are taking the change in stock. Okay, this is the reason there. You have written that, I already dictated to you. Okay, gross investments, it includes gross investment, I stands for gross investments, and that is written. It is a total expenditure incurred by the investors on goods and services, for investment purpose. You must write for investment purpose. Fine. Then one more line you write, investment in gross investment includes gross fixed capital formations plus change in stock. Gross fixed capital formations and change in stock. Clear to all? Now come back here. So C is clear, G is clear, I is clear. Now in external sector, you think external sector means what? So you can say external sector which represents or which indicates the transaction is going on between the home country and the rest of the world. So country where we stay, that country is known as home country, or it is also known as the domestic country or domestic economy. You can say domestic economy or you can say domestic country, clear, or home country. And other than my country, whole world is known as the ROW, means rest of the world. Other than my country is known as the rest of the world. Fine. So let us consider and your transaction between home country and rest of the world. These transactions comes under the external sector. This is the external sector. Fine. So what are the things are going on in the external sector? Okay, exports. What is exports? So exports means you produced goods and services within our home country and we are selling to abroad. This is known as the exports. If you are producing goods, selling abroad, it is known as exports of goods. If you are producing services, selling abroad, it is known as export of services. So export means exports of goods and services. So we can write exports, which we can write capital X. So exports means the goods and services you are producing within country and you are selling abroad, so it is known as the exports of goods and services. Fine here. Now just think here, I am just removing this part because I need this space. So it means If you think about the total overall production in the country, so on this output, one part is demanded by the households, one part is demanded by the government, one part is demanded by investors or is spent by the investors or government or households, and one part is demanded by the foreigners, that is the rest of the world. So, if you add C plus I plus G plus X, then can we get the total expenditure on domestically produced goods and services? Remember, what is my objective? My objective is to calculate the goods and value of goods and services produced within our country, means we are talking about domestic output, domestic production. But if you add all four, we are not getting it. It's going to give you the overestimated and particular country like India. Why? The reason is that C you are saying that C is the total expenditure incurred by the households on final goods and services. And one word, it is the private final consumption expenditure. But just think, take your example. If you see around, see in your home, if there are 100 items in your home, so really all hundreds are produced in India? No. There may be some of the products which is in your home that is a basically output of other countries. You imported it, which is known as the imported goods. Clear? But imported goods are not the domestic goods. Imported goods are the output of other countries. Imported goods are output of other countries. We can't consider this as a part of domestic output. So, what is my next step? We have to subtract all imported items that's demanded by the consumers, So, what we can write? We can subtract minus CM. What is minus CM? So, minus CM means M stands for importable, imports, C stands for consumption. It means we have to subtract imported goods consumed by the households. CM is not chief minister here. Here M stands for imported goods, C stands for consumption, and who consume? Households. Simple, write one line. Minus, you have to subtract imported goods consumed by the households. Subtract it. Similarly, you think about the government. If government is spending G amount of total expenditure, they are doing that on goods and services. That is, you written that on goods and services. Even you read see the C, what's C written this? C is the total private final expenditure. You not mentioned domestically or imported funds, so you have to subtract it. G is what? Total expenditure incurred by the government. But if government is spending really all 100 amounts, they are spending on domestically produced goods and services. So, my question is no. Take the example of defense sector. Rafale you are buying from other country, other defense equipments you are buying from other countries. It means a significant amount of money you are spending on imported items, but imported items are not our domestic produced goods. So, that much things we have to subtract, minus GM. Minus GM means imported goods demanded or the government is spent on the imported goods, that much amount you have to subtract. Imported goods demanded by the government, that much you subtract. Similarly, think about the investors. Investors, they are investing in the country, but really you believe 100% amount they are spending on domestically produced goods and services? So, question is no. Because investors also importing from other countries so many machineries, so many equipment, so many inputs, they are spending on that, but that goods are not the output of my country. So, we have to subtract IM. So, what we are doing that, dear, individually we are not subtracting. So, the whole these items we considering it is the M. So, M stands for imported products. It is overall imports from the rest of the world. So we are combining together and we are saying aim is the total imports of the country from rest of the world. Aim is that. Clear? So we are not individually, we are subtracting in place of that. What we are doing, since we have taken the external sector separately, and external sector represents the transaction of between the home country and the rest of the world. Transaction includes both selling goods and services and buying goods and services. So here we are writing minus imports. Minus imports, in bracket we can write M. We are not doing like this. Clear? So that is the one of the reasons. So we can write minus M. Clear? So if you write minus M, so if you just think like this, so directly you can get C, you have written I, C plus I plus G plus X minus M. So directly you are going to get the GDP at MP, market price. Check there. Okay, just give me, I will repeat you. First you try to get. Clear here? Why you are getting directly GDP at MP? Why domestic? Because you only calculated the expenditure incurred by all four entity on domestically produced goods and services. They spend it on imported goods, but that much amount you subtracted, that is a minus M, you done it. So moment you minus M, you done it, means left amount is only on domestically produced goods and services. Okay. So if you take the total expenditure on domestic goods and services must be equal to the value of output produced in the country. That is the value of output produced in the country, the total value of final output, that is nothing but GDP at MP. So directly you are getting GDP at MP. And once you are getting GDP at MP, then yesterday class you follow and you already learn it. You can convert from GDP at MP to GDP at FC. You learn it from GDP at MP to you can convert NDP at MP. You can also convert GDP at MP to GNP at MP just by adding the NFI. So all these things are knowing. So from here you can go to any form, net, factor cost, even you can go to the national income. Okay, that's now all these steps you are knowing this. Do that, you can reach that. Clear here? So one few questions I just received. Like you are saying, sir, please explain gross fixed capital formation. See, I think capital formation part I will discuss with you. Just give me few, I mean 1-2 more classes that I will discuss you. But what here I can give you just a small line. If fixed capital formation means you understand. Actually, investment mean when you are investing in fixed capital like your machineries, equipments, plant, these will come under the investment. So in real sense, in the day-to-day life, investment mean that, clear, mean that. Okay, change in stock, why we includes here in the gross investment format. See, gross investment and net investment, the basically difference is depreciation only. If in the first stage you don't take the gross investment, you take the net investment, so you are not going to get the GDP at MP, but directly you are going to get the NDP at MP. So depending on here, your investment is what? You are taking gross investment or you are taking the net investment. If initially in the first stage already you subtracted depreciations, so directly you are getting the net, because depreciation you are knowing the consumption of fixed capital. So already you have considered it, so directly you are going to get the net, that things you clear. So that is a different issue, but problem is that when in the normal life and practically we are discussing investment in all other platform other than this. So we means the investing in your fixed capital like your machineries, equipments, plant, this will come under the fixed capital formation. But since I need to calculate the output produced in the country, so there is a possibility that producer produced, but that is unsold quantity, unsold stock is there. So if you are not taking change in stock, so that much amount can vary from what you calculated and what is the actual GDP. So get the actual amount, what exactly you produced, we added the term change in stock here. We added change in stock to get the overall value of output produced in the country. Find here? That is the things. So first your question asks the please explain gross fixed capital formation that I discussed. Invested portion. So invested portions I have discussed this already. Okay, so please discuss about OS. Yeah, OS OS means operating surplus. See, what itself is explanatory to you dear. Try to get this word. See, economics does not mean you have to go through the top then you come to the bottom. No. I'm just telling you one thing, you observe all economic models and theories are there in economics. Most of them are based on empirical evidences. Empirical evidence. You have to prove that this is happening in the country, and then only you can make model or any law or theories. It means what you are getting? It means you are getting that what is happening around us, actually this is economy, and after studying this, that is what is happening in economy, that is your part of the economics, and that you are putting in the law, theory and models. So if we start understanding the day-to-day life, what is happening to us in a very general concept, normal concept, basic understanding, more than half of the economics part you can easily learn it. Like we are saying OS. OS is what? Operating surplus. Simple concept. If I have a plant, you think about it, the 4 factors we are using it, macro level you just assume, 4 factors you take: land, labor, capital, entrepreneurs or producers. See, if you are just leave it labor, when the labor requirement will come, when you are going to use the labor, when you are going to operate. But till your completion of the factory or plant, already use the 3 factors. So labor you are going to use when you want to operate. So when you are operating, first of all you have to pay to the labor. If you are not paying labor, stop production, your output will be 0. So amount you are going to labor, you can just term in one sense the operating cost. Because if you operate, then labor requirement is there, and if labor requirement is there and you are paying their share, so it's come under the operating cost. And the rest amount, what is left after the labor, that is after the C, that is known as operating surplus. After operating, this much amount is left, and this amount, from this amount, you are going to pay to other 3 factors. So then you have to pay rent, then you have to pay interest, and if amount left, it is a part of the profit. That is the reason we are saying OS is the sum of rent plus interest plus profit. Clear? Now you are asking out of 3 methods, which is the most effective and which one does India implement? Dear, you understand, I think the first class when I started this topic, I think you missed something. I explained to you, dear, economy is very dynamic one. It is not possible to use one method to get the total value of output or income produced in the country. In some activities, you have to use production method. In some activities, you have to use income method, and in some activities, you have to use expenditure method. Clear? So where you are using, suppose the whole economy you can divide in 3 parts. So where it needs production method, use it, where you need income method, use it, and where you need it, you use the expenditure method. Then you aggregate all, then you can get the total income generated in the country or total value of output produced in the country. As far as which method effective, all the 3 methods are effective. Take the example of India, We are using all three methods, dear. And most of the country in the world, they are using all the three methods because it's not possible to estimate the all value of output by using only one method. We are using all the three. Fine here. Next, sir, if GDP of a country increases, does that mean somewhere in the world another country GDP is decreasing? Why it is so? Why it is so? Take the example of other countries. They are producing basis of their technology, the resources they have. On the basis of that, we are producing on the basis of the resources and technology, the other things what we have, plus demand in this market and demand in that market. It's not necessary. At the same time, the GDP can increase to all countries, all the world's GDP may increase. And if you go to the IMF report and the World Bank report, you are getting there. You are getting it. You are getting this. The world is growing at the rate of say 3%, 3.5% like this. You are saying that clear. So whole world may grow at the same time. Previous slide, just check all of you. Note it down, dear. Please note it down the previous slide. Previous slide is over. That you wanted, I think. Previous slide. Fine. Sir, please, aim is what? Aim, I am trying to explain you. It's import. It's import. It means households using some part of imported goods. Government is using some part of imported goods. Investors are using some part of imported goods. Fine. So if you add total amount, so total amount is total imports of the country. Total imports. And total M is the imports. That's I written it here. Imports in bracket M be written. Imports. M. Exports is represented by X. So that's import we subtracted. That I explained you why it is known as the surplus. So the amount the investor spends on stocks of other countries, do we calculate it as an import for our? No. It's not. It's a okay. We are taking the domestic production. So India mainly follow production income method, but does not follow expenditure method to measure income. Why? No. Expenditure method also, just see the economy survey, you can get it. Economy survey, you just see the chapter 1, state of the economy, the first chapter, which is there on the Ministry of Finance website. Download it, you can just see, you will get all the three methods that is there. Expenditure method, government expenditure is written there, private final consumption expenditure is written there, this data is there. So this data is there, means somewhere we are using this. Get it? Economy survey, you can get this there. So the first slice, which first slide you are talking about? Please give examples of fields where these different methods are used. Okay, fine. You can take this example like the agriculture sector, you can take the production method. Say you are investing somewhere you are investing, but you don't know the output, you are just spending your expenditure. So there you can take the expenditure. You take the government sector, some of the services, suppose economy is producing some of the services. You cannot monetize. So you can take the expenditure method, how much you are spending. Or sometimes it's not difficult, it's very difficult to get the value of output produced. So you can take the income received by the factors, you can take income method. Clear? How is whole world's growth possible when resources are fixed? Resources are fixed, it does not mean you cannot increase. Resources are fixed for each and every country. That is the role of technology. That is the role of the optimum utilization of resources. It does not mean the country used all the resources at the today time. You can keep using and efficiently you can use your resources. Okay, that's the way. ठीक है? तो जितना ज़्यादा efficient way में use करोगे, growth will be there. Still, you take the example of India. We not utilize all your industrial sectors. Still, we are lacking the industrial base, strong industrial base. Agriculture, we have to use it more effectively. We have to increase the production possibilities. Clear? Fine, dear? Now, come back to this point, GDP at MP equal to C plus I plus G plus X minus M. Here you can get the concept of open economy and you take the closed economy. Open economy and closed economy. Clear? So, what is open economy and closed economy? Clear here? So, here you are getting two things, two concepts, open economy and closed economy. Open economy and closed economy, suppose I am asking you when India became the open economy. Most of you I have seen, so you are giving the wrong answer. Someone is saying say 991. No dear, no. First you understand the concept of open economy and concept of closed economy. Clear? Concepts of open economy and closed economy, and first you understand, just write open economy, all of you, write open economy. Right. Then we will discuss when India, I think maybe you are thinking yeah, in 1981 India became open economy, but really we are wrong. Let me clear first the concept, just write open economy. Okay, before that you understand this thing. Suppose I am country and you all are the rest of the world. I am country, you are all are the rest of the world. So you know I am doing, there is a transaction is going on between me and you. Transaction is going on between me and you, means one country with the other country. So if you take the relationship, there are two types of relationship one country has with the other country. One is known as political relationship, other is known as the economic relationship. Political relationship means, suppose your delegates can come to my country, your citizens can come to my country, my people can go to your country, our delegates can go to your country. So this transition is going on, it will come under the your political relationship. Fine, it will come under the political relationship. And when I am going to your country, I can bring some of the things. So suppose I like some t-shirts, I like some sweets from in your country, so I can bring it for the self-consumption. If you are coming to my country, you can take also some, you purchase something for self-consumption and you can go. My officials will not tell you anything and your officials will not tell you anything. That is allowed. But when you are saying about the economic relationship, so this transaction will change. It means when you are saying economic relationship, so first step it comes trade relationship. What is that? Trade relationship means in the bulk amount, not the 1-2 pieces for self-consumption, in the bulk amount, that is known as the commercial transactions. If you are saying there is a trade relationship between you and me, one country with other country, so means I can export and import to your country and you can export and import to my country. That is on the commercial basis, that's come under the trade. Okay. Other than this, there is a possibility of the capital movement. Capital movement means you can invest in my country, I can invest in your country. That is the capital movement is allowed. Labor movement means my labor can go to your country, your labor can come to my country. Labor movement is allowed. So this whole things is known as the economic policy, economic transactions or economic relations. And trade relationship is one part of that. Clear, dear? So when you can say any economy is open economy, when a country has trade relationship with any country of the world, then we can say trade open economy. Just write one line, open economy. If a country, okay, if a country, open economy, right? If a country has open economy, okay, if a country has trade relationship, if a country has trade relationship with any country of the world, with any country of the world, trade relationship with any country of the world, then that country is known as, open economy. Then that country is known as open economy. Clear? Now next you write closed economy. Closed economy, right? If a country has no trade relationship, if a country has no trade relationship with any country of the world, okay, then that country is known as, closed economy. Then that country is known as closed economy. Okay, that country is known as closed economy. Fine. Now you think about India. So I want your reply right now, when India became open economy. After getting this, after understanding this, is suppose someone is asking when India became open economy. Anyone? It means you are not getting. At least one, two just replied so I can get it. So after getting this concept, what you can say when India became open economy? So India, when you are knowing your India, India was even known earlier for trade. Even Britishers came in India for trade, and we were ruled over by Britishers due to trade. Trade was the reasons, you are reading in the history. Silk Route, you take the example, Silk Route totally, controlled by the Indian traders. So you understand that when you are knowing your India, from that time, India was known for the trade. So what exactly it's happened in 1991? So yes, in 1991, we adopted liberal policies. In 1991, we adopted LPG model, liberalized, privatized and globalized model of development. We will discuss in the plan, don't worry. LPG model. So basically, you adopted the liberal policies relating to trade, international trade, and you also allowed foreign capital to come and invest in India. So what should be the right term or terminology for this? You can say the degree of openness we have increased. So when you are saying yes, what's happened in 1991, so simply you can say in India the degree of openness we have increased in 1991. But as far as open economy is concerned, it was even earlier, even before independence, it was open economy. Trade, it was very famous, the British, they just looted the economy, okay, so the trade was one of the reasons, okay, so you can get it. So clear the open economy and closed economy? If you just see the last few years back, if you see the questions, then one question asked, in case of closed economy, x minus m is equal to 0. This was the first options among the four. In case of closed economy, x minus m equal to 0, and most of the students they clicked it, but it is wrong. It is wrong. Reason is, when you are writing x minus m equal to 0, which implies that x is equal to m. When x is equal to m means export is equal to import. Okay. So if in economy exports happen and imports happen, maybe these two are equal. Maybe these two are equal. But if export happen and imports happen in that particular country, so can we say that is a closed economy? No. That is the open economy, because already export is happening, imports is going on. So that is the open economy. So what should be the right answer? Either you can write x plus m equal to 0, means x is equal to 0, m is equal to 0 means no trade. Or you can write x is equal to 0 and m equal to 0. Individually you can write these two are right. But this is not the right answer. Clear to all? Okay. So India and Pakistan both suspended trade relations with each other. So you know the definition of open economy for India is hampered. See dear, or suspended, but everything is not 100% is stopped. We removed India's from the list of most favored nations concept. Okay, we removed the concept from the list of most favored nations, and it is this concept is coming under the WTO, World Trade Organizations. All the members treat all countries, all the other members, okay, as a most favored nation. That we removed, and once you removed, then you have a right to impose strict and any level of restrictions. And why we are doing, you are knowing these things, but we are not doing with the other country. Fine, but it's not, because if for any country, other countries we are doing that. Particularly for the Pakistan, if you are doing that, it's a different issue, but reason is something different. Okay. Second, you are writing, sir, in closed economy, GDP is equal to GNP. You can say that. If it is a closed economy, then you can say that GDP is equal to GNP. Fine. Yeah. Is it clear to all? Fine. One more things, information I want from your side. Once you retain C plus I plus G plus x minus m. So remember, this identity is also this after addition, it is also represents aggregate demand for domestically produced goods and services. So these things is giving you both the informations. This thing is giving you both the information. One, you are getting GDP at MP, but since it is through the expenditure method, it represents the total expenditure on domestically produced goods and services. Domestically produced goods and services, it is giving you. So it also represents aggregate demand for domestically produced goods and services. So I have written AD. And this equation is really identity, we can say this equation is really very important for us, because I am going to explain all your policies, all the economic activities through this identity. Generally we are writing the Y because AD is equal to in output, but you write the AD equal to this. So this is we are going to use it. Okay, and we can explain all the policies through this one. So here you can write AD represents here. So GDP method is clear. So I am leaving that topic. Okay, I am leaving that topic because you have seen even in expenditure method, if you go, then you can calculate GDP at MP, market price. And once you are knowing the GDP at MP, then you can go to the any level or any form, maybe from domestic to national, gross to net, market price to factor cost, depending on you, you can do that. Now I am just extending this information now. So the equation that we developed or identity we developed, okay, GDP at MP equal to C plus I plus G plus X minus M. If you take this 4, it is nothing but it also represents aggregate demand. Aggregate demand for what? So aggregate demand for domestically produced goods and services. It represents aggregate demand for domestically produced goods and services. ठीक है? Aggregate demand for domestically produced goods and services. Why you are writing that? Because imports already you subtracted. So if you are not taking import, you are not subtracting M, means that depends aggregate demand for goods and services. But the moment you subtracted imports, means it's left with the only domestically produced goods and services aggregate demand. And C plus I plus G, this part is basically, it represents total demand for domestically produced goods and services by the domestic players or economic agents. Clear? And X minus M, this is the second part or second component of your aggregate demand. See, export minus imports, if you write here export minus import, just I am using one, okay, I have used it, okay, just you think exports we have written, and exports are represented by capital X and imports which is represented by M. So exports minus imports is known as net exports, and which is represented by NX. This thing you remember. Okay. Exports minus imports, exports which is represented by capital X, imports which is represented by M. So exports minus import, it will give you the, sorry, not wrongly I have written this, it's a net exports, NET, net exports, clear? NX you can write. So if you move here, so X minus M is nothing but it is the net exports. So you can write it's net exports, and net exports represents net demand for domestically produced goods and services by the foreigners, you can say, or rest of the world, you can say. Net demand for domestically produced goods and services by the foreign, domestically produced by the foreigners or rest of the world, you can say. It means just you see this equation, then you are getting that the overall aggregate demand of domestically produced goods and services having two components. One part of the aggregate demand, it comes from the domestic economy, that is by the domestic players, which may be your households, which may be your investors, which may be your government. So it is coming from the domestic players. But one part of the demand, that is the net exports, is coming from the rest of the world or rest of the world or foreigners, which is known as the net demand for domestically produced goods and services by the foreigners oblique rest of the world. These two. So these two combined known as the, after adding that you are getting the aggregate demand here. Clear? So any countries, if you take any countries, so that country's aggregate demand for domestically produced goods and services, that aggregate demand comes from, one part is coming from the economy itself, that is within the domestic economy, and one part of demand it is coming from the rest of the world. So these two combined is known as the overall aggregate demand for domestically produced goods and services. Check there, is it clear? One question you have read in that in a closed economy, GDP is equal to GNP. I have told you yes, but you have to take precautions. When? Because in closed economy, your x minus m is going to be 0. But even you include x and m, then you are getting GDP at MP, domestic income you are getting there. Domestic income you are getting. Okay. So, and trade you are including only the export and imports of goods and services. Okay. So, that is not part of your factors income. So, domestic income and factors income difference is what? NFIA, net factors income from abroad. That is your factors went there and they earned it. Their factors came in India, they earned it. So, this difference between these two is NFIA, and this NFIA deciding from domestic to national, national to domestic. Clear? So, you have to take in that way. But yes, if it is a closed economy, so there is no export and there are no import. So, aggregate demand will be only domestic demand, domestically demand by the domestic players, that you can say. Clear to all? So now I think GDP deflator, real GDP, actual GDP, and these all we have discussed. Fine. Now we are going to the next topic. Okay, just two concept is more. Let's complete that, because other topic, I mean the topic that will take a little bit more time. So that we will start from tomorrow. So only two concept left. One is known as private income, and one is known as personal income. Clear? So now you are able to calculate NI, national income. National income you take. So if you take the national income NI, then is this national income, you can divide whole economy. It's the overall economy of the country, the citizens they earned, because you subtracted the factors income paid to abroad, you added it, then you are getting the national income. So national income, income of private sector is there, and income of government sector also there, or government is there, because government also generates goods and services in the country, yeah. So they are also generating income. So if you remove the government income from national income, then income left is the part of private income. Is income left is the part of private. Please try to get it. National income is overall income of the whole the country, that is the citizens they received it, including the government, that is the national income. In this national income, if you subtract the income of the government, then left income is the income of the it is the income of the private sector. Okay. If it is the income for the private sector is left, but that income is from the productive activities. That income is from the productive activities. Little bit change in the concept of private income. Yeah. Till now, we have discussed with you income means what you earned. And earning sense will only come if there is a two-way transaction is going on. You are rendering your services or selling goods and services, then money you received or any other kind form you are receiving, that is your income. But transfer payment that they discussed when the first day started, it is the unilateral transactions, one-way transactions. You are receiving the money but you are not giving anything. So we termed it as a transfer payment. Not income, transfer payment is a good word. Private income says that money received from all possible means. Private income means money received from all possible means. It means it includes the income earned from productive activities and also transfers receipt from different sources. That is the little bit change in the concept about the private income. And this way we defined, because private income means we want to check how much money or how much income or how much total money is left with the private sector for dispose of. They can spend in the money. So definitely the transfer income even they are receiving, they are going to spend in the economy. This is the concept. So we change we change it. So in national income, if you subtract government income, the remaining part will give you income of the private sector from productive activities. But if you then you have to add all transfers payment, all transfer payments given by the government to private sector. Yeah, that you have to add, because government taking it back their share, but again government is giving back to the private sector, maybe in the form of a scholarship, but scholarship is not income for you. It is a one-way transaction. You are receiving, but you are not giving directly to the government. Scholarships, you can take old age pensions, you can take pensions, you can take widows pensions and other schemes government is giving you. Like in the Bengal, it's going on, there is 500 rupees the women are getting every month, government is giving. It is again the transfer payment. So you have to add all transfer payments given by the government to the private sector. And again you have to add all transfers, all transfers, all transfers from rest of the world. Yeah, because from other nations we are also receiving, say your relatives, other things, they are staying there, they are not sending all your income as a factors income, but the family they can send some things, other country can assist you, they can give you grants and other things. So we are receiving some, if we are getting any transfers, then we have to aid the all transfer from rest of the world, then you are getting the private income. So this formula, these concepts you have to understand. If out of the national income, if you subtract income of the government, then left amount of income is the income of the private sector, but that is the from productive activities. In that income, if you add all possible transfers what the private sector is receiving, so private, then you add it, you can get the private income, complete private income. So transfers, there is two ways, either you are getting from the government or you are getting from the rest of the world. So the whole transfers we have added it, so you are getting the private income. Even since all transfer payments given by the government we added, here you can also write it the interest paid. Yeah, you can also write it interest paid by the government, government on public debt. Public debt. Public debt means the government's debt. Government's borrowed, and on this amount, government paying interest rate to the public, it goes to the finally the private sector. So yes, you can write the interest paid by the government on public debt. Public debt means the total liability is total borrowed amount of the government. How much government borrowed from the economy is the total of the public debt, and on that government pay you some interest on that. So it goes to the private sector. So that much, that things you have to add. Clear? So private income concept is clear to all? Just check. Please note it down. Okay, what you have written, sir, can a foreign investor invest in a closed economy? See, when you already announced that my country is closed economy, so there is no question of allowing any foreign activities like any foreign investors to come and invest. No, you are allowing, it means your country is the open economy. Clear? So fine, dear, you note it. Now come back. So from national income you calculated the private income, but you are knowing that private sector or private income you take, if you take the private income, then private income is the income of households, and it is also the income of corporate. That is true, because overall economy, first you divide in two parts, one is the government, another is the private. If government left, then remaining is the private. And when you are talking about the private sector, again private sector having the two different identity one or entity one, two different entity. One is the households, like we all are the household, and second, industrialists, businessman or corporate. You can simply name only one corporate sector, that is the producers, So households and producer, these two are here. So producers is termed as the corporate sector. Clear? So when you are saying private income, it includes income of the households plus income of the corporate sector. Check. Clear to all? When you are saying private income, it means the income of both households income plus income of the corporate sector. Fine. So tell me, what is the income of corporate sector? What is the income of corporate sector? What is the income of corporate sector? Corporate means producers, and we have already discussed in the earlier classes that each factor's income is named differently, like labor's CE, land rent, capitalist interest, and producers or investors or entrepreneurs or corporate sector income is your profit. So profit is the corporate sector. But my question is, if you take profit, then if we are going to, suppose you are taking the profit, so if you are going to subtract profits from private income, the left amount of income will give you the household income. That is a simple logic. If the private income includes income of the households plus income of the corporate sector, so if corporate sector is profit, so you subtract the profits, the left amount income is the household's income. But only one point you have to think again. See, out of the profits made by the corporate sector, one of part of the profit is paid to the government in the form of corporate tax, and corporate tax is also known as profit tax, or you can say corporation tax. You can say corporate tax, you can say profit tax, or you can say corporation tax. Clear? So, out of the profit, one part you are paying as a tax to the government. So, this amount of profit, where it is going? It is going to the government. Again, it is back to the government. Because corporate tax is not the production, corporate tax is on the net profit earned by the investor, or net profit earned by the producer, that is the corporate sector. What is the net profit? On that you have to pay tax, which is known as the corporate tax. It is reason it is also known as the profit tax. Clear? One part of the profit, it is paid as a dividends. It is paid as a dividends. Okay. Yes, out of the profit, you are paying a part of the profit to your company's shareholders. The individuals, they invested in your company, they are the shareholders of your company. You are going to pay a part of that to the shareholders, and which is known as dividends. And what amount? As a percentage of shareholders, they are holding total investment in your company. Accordingly, you have to pay. And individuals, if someone is invested more, their share will be more. If investment less, then they will get less share. So yes, you are going to pay a part of the profit in the form of dividends to the shareholders. And rest part, which is remain with the corporate sector, rest part which is remain with the corporate sector, it is known as undistributed profit. Undistributed profits. And it is also known as retained earnings. It is also known as retained earnings. It is also known as savings of corporate sector. It is also known as the savings of corporate sector. Fine. So, three parties there: corporate tax, dividends, undistributed profit. Undistributed profits name is retained earnings or savings of corporate sector. Any of three you can say, because undistributed profit means that part of the profit which is not distributed, it is with the corporate sector. It is going to government, it's remain with the corporate sector. But what's about dividends? Dividends again given it back to the households. Because generally in the overall economy, if you take, finally the investors which they are buying the equity and shares, they are the basically households. So this dividends is going back to the households. So see, if you are going to subtract profits, it means you are going to subtract all these three components. So do one thing, either you subtract profit, then again you added dividends, or second options, don't subtract the profits, just subtract the two components from the private income. The left amount will be give you the household's income. Clear? So just do that. I think you noted it. Please keeps writing there. Keeps writing. Now I am changing this slide. So it means in the private income, as I discussed with you, in private income, if you subtract corporate tax minus undistributed profit, then this private income turned into or giving you the income of households. Clear? But income of households is known as personal income. Income of households is known as personal income. It is known as personal income. Income of households is known as personal income. Fine. This is the personal income. So always remember, personal income means income of households. I am writing it. households. Clear? So this we from national income, then you can reach to the private income, and again you can reach to the personal income. Just you follow these steps, and why we are subtracting, why we adding it, I think you are knowing now. Clear? So once you are getting the personal income, so if personal income is given to you, I mean you calculate it. In personal income, if you subtract taxes, which taxes here you are talking about? Direct taxes. DT stands for direct taxes. Because here market price and factor cost NIT, but here is the direct taxes because you are paying from your income. You are paying from your income, and that I discussed. If you are paying on your income, and you are not going to just shift it to any other persons. So it is the direct tax. The burden of tax you are not going to shift to other entity. So it is a direct tax. So taxes means DT are written. DT means direct taxes or any fines you are paying to the government, etc. You have to subtract. So the personal income you calculate it, and you subtracted the taxes, DT means direct taxes or fines, etc. what you are paying, then this personal income is going to be the personal disposable income, means PDI, personal disposable income you can write. Here I is for income, okay, personal disposable income. So disposable income, that day also I just explained you. Disposable income is what? Income left after the payment of taxes. Disposable income means income left after the payment of taxes. Disposable income already I just discussed with you. The income left after the payment of taxes, that we have discussed. So personal disposable means it is a personal income. It is a personal income, and once you paid the taxes and fines, so after the payment of taxes and fines, which is left is known as the disposable income. Since the personal income, so you are getting the personal disposable income PDI. And what you are going to do with this income? So simply you can write personal income out of this personal income, sorry, personal disposable income, no? Yeah. Personal disposable income, personal disposable income is equal to, personal disposable income is equal to, what you can write? And what you can do after personal disposable income, you calculate it. You can consume, so you can write consumption. And who can do consumption? Households can do, because private final consumption expenditure. Consumption plus you can save, but here savings is known as savings of households. Savings of households. Because undistributed profit we termed as savings of corporate sector. Undistributed profit we termed as a savings of corporate sector. But here the savings out of personal disposable income, since disposable income, this personal disposable income is the income of the households. So household is going to save and going to consume. So you retain the consumption plus savings of households. Clear? So see, income and all the measurements, all the types of things we have discussed till now. So any doubts, any things, you tell me, and new topics I will start from tomorrow, because it takes time, and if there is a sequencing to discuss it, it's good for me also and good for you also. So fine dear, any doubt? No. So we are meeting you with tomorrow. Thank you everyone. Bye. Have a nice day.